Hey my lovelies, welcome to my Saturday story time where I sit here every Saturday and tell you guys a story. Okay, it can be all different stories that I want to tell you guys, from murder, mystery, personal stories of my own, or just any random story that I find on the internet, because honestly I'm really into mystery and like true crime and snap and killer couples and all that stuff. Just a little something that you guys probably didn't know about me. So I'm into all that mystery stuff. So I was just thinking, like, you know, to up the ante, I can do story time on Saturday about some of the TV shows that I actually love. And I'm pretty sure if you guys are on the same boat with me and y'all love true crime, y'all love snap, y'all love any kind of murder mystery videos, or any just story time in general, then this is the place for you. Every Saturday I'll be posting a story time on my choosing of the story. Or you guys can leave me a comment and I will look up the information that you want me to look up, and I can do a story time on that too. But if you haven't, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Turn on your likes. Turn on that bell. That way you can be notified whenever I post. Share and leave me a comment. And a little disclaimer before I start my story. This story does involve killing, murdering, whatever you want to call it. It does involve like crime, some gruesome tellings, but it's not a lot of gruesome in this story. It's more like, you know, straight to the point killing or whatever like that. So if you guys want to stay tuned and hear my story time, please stay tuned for my video. Okay, so this is just my opinion, but today's story time is, I'm just gonna call her dummy of the day because I feel like she was a dummy for what she did. But her name is Darlene, sucking names, but her name is Darlene Gentry, okay? And at this time, Darlene was 32 when she committed her crime. So I'm not the type of person that want to do a backstory on like the killers and exactly, you know, how they grew up and how they was raised. You know, I feel like most killers were growing up in like a bad place, or, you know what I'm saying, their family was very abusive to them, or, you know, maybe they was sexually abused. You know, there's so many different stories to why a killer are the way they are. But if you guys want to figure out why she did what she did and what was her motive of doing what she was doing it, go ahead and do it. Do your little research. But I'm just going to tell you guys the story, give you guys information about the story, and I'm also going to leave the link to the video that I found that in the description so you guys can check out the story as well, and then you can, you know, I don't know, put your own facts together. I don't know. But this story is about Darlene Gentry. Okay, so Darlene Gentry lived in Robinson, Texas. It was just your typical Caucasian, blonde, beautiful woman. You know, they said she was very loving, very caring, you know what I'm saying? All the good stuff that people actually say about people all the time. Like, they never say anything bad, like, oh my god, like, she was a killer. Really good friend, really strong person, like, you know, she just loved life and she just loved everything about life. Okay, so let's fast forward. She met her husband. His name is Keith Gentry. Okay, they met at a college in Waco, at Texas State Technical College, where she was taking courses to be a dental assistant, and he was taking courses to be a welder. Okay, so they kind of met on campus, I'm assuming, and they kind of like hit it off, and they decided that they wanted to start dating. Okay, so during the course of their relationship, they broke up. She ended up moving to Dallas, Texas for a year, and then she ended up coming back, and then they rekindled their love at, I guess, a dance that was in Robinson, Texas, like a city dance or whatever like that. They ended up getting back together. At this time, she was 32 years of age. So they got married. They had kids together. They had 3 boys. I'm not going to put the kid's name in my story because I just don't like to get kids involved. This is only about the crime, and that's mainly my focus on. It's just the crime. But Darlene was like a chronic shopper. Like, she shopped and she loved spending money, especially Keith's money. Okay, and at this time Keith was a traveling electrician, so Keith was never really at home. He was always on the road, like 4 days out the week. So Darlene was left in charge of like their finances. So she was the one responsible for making sure all the bills was paid, making sure their boys was taken care of, and making sure that, you know what I'm saying, she kept a good home and a good place for Keith when he comes back from work. So they only seen each other like 2 or 3 days out the week, probably less than that. But people who know them said that they was a really loving couple together. Like, they just fit. They look good together. You know what I'm saying? Like, they believe that they really had, like, true love, Darlene and Keith. Side note, they always say that. I hate that. Why you always want to tell the good stuff? Okay, let's just not always tell the good stuff. Like, I want to hear the dirty stuff. Like, I want to hear, like, they was fighting and she was this and he was that. Like, that what makes it real to me. But you just telling me all the time, like, oh my God, they was very loving and they loved each other and they were always with each other and home. So Keith decided that he wanted to be home more because he probably felt, in my opinion, that he was missing out on, you know, the upbringing of his kids. Like, he really didn't see them probably like do anything in school, or he probably wasn't able to go to events or sports events. You know, he probably wasn't very involved as much as he wanted to be. So Keith decided that he wanted to stop being a travel electrician and he wanted to get a more permanent spot close to home, which with him getting a more permanent spot close to home means a big decrease in his pay, which, you know, Darlene, you gotta love Darlene, okay? She was just a shopaholic. Darlene didn't give up. But Darlene wanted more. And everybody said that Darlene was a looker, that she liked to dress nice, she liked to live nice. Everything in their house was very nice. They lived in a nice house in Robertson, Texas. Like, it was just, she was a very flashy woman, you know what I'm saying? She was a very kept woman. So Darlene was a very manipulative woman also, in my opinion. I feel like she was, because she was taking credit cards and putting it in her husband's name. You know what I'm saying? She was spending a lot of their money and not really actually paying the bills. Like, she just turned into a really bad mom, I guess, when Keith decided to take a low-paying job just so he could be at home with his kids. Come on, Darlene. Like, your husband trying to be with his kids. Don't be a jerk. Oh, anyways, I'm getting mad just talking about Darlene right now, because I feel like there's so many good people in the world and they get taken advantage of, and then once they get taken advantage of, they sour to everybody else. Like, they just mad at everybody else, and you know, you turn a good person rotten, and that's sad. That's really, really sad. So Keith found out about Darlene's spending habits and he decided to talk to her about it. So I guess the conversation that they had about her spending habits kind of got a little bit heated. So Darlene said that she left and just basically just wanted to regroup the whole conversation. Like, she didn't want to argue with Keith. She didn't want to start a big commotion about it. So she just decided to leave. And then once she came back, I guess they was able to be adults and sit down and have a civil conversation, which is good. Like, good for you, Darlene. You show that you can grow up. Good for you. So they had a civil conversation, and I guess, you know, things blow over. I don't know what the conversation actually was. Maybe Darlene was just like,
oh yeah, Keith, I will stop spending so much money.
And Keith was just like, yeah, you need to stop spending so much money.
And Darlene was just like, okay, cool. I'm going to get your ass. That's how I feel like she did. So, yeah, but I feel like people were saying even when they wasn't making enough money, like, you know, they still was able to be a family and still get along very well. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't no animosity between them. It wasn't until Keith found out that Darlene was putting credit cards in his name. I feel like everybody who's anybody will get upset at their mate or their spouse if they found out, you know, you taking out credit cards in my name and then you maxing them out. Like, I have to pay this. Like, you're not really working. Oh, and at the time, Darlene didn't even want to be a dental assistant anymore. She decided to pursue a nursing career. And so while Keith was a travel electrician at this time, she was going to school and also take care of boys. So maybe she was stressed out about that. I really don't know. But I'm assuming that she graduated nursing school. So good for Darlene. But I don't think she ever found a job working as an actual nurse. Okay, so that's a little backstory of them. You know what I'm saying? Boring. I'm ready to get to this crime. Okay, so let me tell you guys. Sit back. I'm gonna tell you guys. Just give me a second. I'm gonna tell you guys. Okay, so this crime took place on November the 9th, 2005. Okay, don't nobody know. Well, I'm pretty sure they didn't know, but I don't know exactly the time of, you know, what happened. But what I do know is that Darlene said that she woke up like around 5 o'clock that morning because she knew that she had to get her kids ready for school. Okay, so she said she woke up, and she proceeded to go into the kitchen, I guess to like make the kids some breakfast or something like that. I'm not sure what she was trying to do, but she noticed that her back door was open, okay, and she was just like, oh, like it's cold, like, you know, let me close this door. So she said she went and she closed the door. I guess the picture, it was just like her back door, and then it was the kitchen, and then it was like a gun closet right here, like a gun cabinet right there where Keith keep his guns, like his rifles and shotguns and I don't know, whatever hunters do. I guess Keith was into like hunting and fishing and any kind of sports that involve guns, I guess. So that's what he liked to do. So he had a gun cabinet, okay? So she noticed that the guns were missing, okay, at this time. After she went to close the back door, she noticed that the guns were missing. Like, I guess she didn't notice it on the way to the back door, but she noticed that once she came from the back door that the guns was missing. Yeah, she noticed it then. Okay, so I guess she was just frantic. So she was just like, oh my God, let me go wake up Keith. He should know that his guns are missing. Like, somebody broke in and stole his guns. So she proceeded to go into the bedroom where she noticed her poor husband dying, like gagging on his own blood. He's trying to, like, you know, stay alive, you know, and I feel like anybody who see their spouse like that, they would jump to their aid. Even if you don't know what the fuck to do, you're gonna try to figure out something to do, because that's just, you know, that's what your brain will tell you to do. Like, you know, oh my God, I gotta save him. Like, if it was your child, like, you know, oh my God, I gotta save my child. Like, I feel like that's how it is. But Darlene saw her husband, you know, basically gagging and, you know what I'm saying, trying to hold on to his life. She noticed that he's sitting in a pool of his own blood. So she called the 911 operator. Yes. Called the police, Darlene. Good job, Darlene. But my opinion, where you messed up at, is it took you 25 seconds to tell the dispatcher that your husband is laying in his pool of blood and he is struggling to breathe. Darlene basically made this elaborate story. She was real frantic. I'm gonna try to find the actual the police recording so you guys can hear what I'm talking about. But she was basically saying that you know, oh, she felt like somebody broke in, you know what I'm saying? She noticed that the back door was open, that it was cold. She just got up because she had to pick up her kids. I mean, she had to wake up her kids so her kids didn't go to school, and she knows that all the guns was missing. And then after all that rambling, she proceeded to tell the operator, oh yeah, basically, like, my husband's he's lying in a pool of blood and he's trying to save, like, hold on to his little bit of life. Darlene stated that she did not know anything that happened that night. She said that some of her boys wasn't feeling well, so she decided to sleep in her kids' room. And she basically fell asleep in one of her boys' bed with him, leaving her husband Keith in their room by themselves. She said that she didn't hear anything. She didn't hear nobody come in. She didn't hear any no kind of altercation, no kind of like rumbling happen. So I'm assuming that she was like in a coma sleep, basically, like she was in a heavy sleep. I don't know, maybe she's on drugs. I'm sorry, scratch that. That's not what I'm trying to say. But yeah, she said she didn't hear anything. It wasn't until she woke up that morning to get the kids ready is when she noticed the back door was open, that the gun case was open and the guns was missing, and she noticed her husband, you know, in the bed or whatever like that. So the 911 operator, of course, she did her job. Like, did you try to help resuscitate him? Like, did you try to help him? And she basically said no, she did not touch him. If you're a registered nurse, wouldn't you at least know CPR? Like, that's just my opinion. Wouldn't you at least know to do mouth to mouth? I mean, for God's sake, Darlene, this is your own husband. You think you'll be smart enough to, like, try to save his life? I guess not. The police come, and I think they showed up at like 6 something. I think she put the call out like 6 something. It was like there like in a jiffy, you know what I'm saying? So they came, and one of the cops even said that it looked suspicious. Like, it just looked like, you know, he basically said it just didn't feel right. Like, the guns were not technically stolen. Like, it looks like somebody took the guns out the gun cabinet and put them in their front yard, just spaced out. Like, it had to been like, I want to say like 6 or 8 guns, and I think one was missing. So yeah, one was missing. They said it was a 9-shot 22 caliber that was missing, and they determined they had an inquiry that was the gun that actually probably committed the crime. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you guys. Keith was shot in the head. Okay, he was shot in the back of the head in his own bed. So he wasn't like, it wasn't like he was trying to fight, or it didn't seem like it was an intruder. It just seemed like, you know, he was basically caught off guard, like the man was asleep and it looked like somebody just shot him in the back of his head. Now I feel like the only time somebody would try to come after you is if they was getting caught. Like if Keith was to wake up and he would have saw the burglary taking place and then somebody shot him because they were so scared and they were trying to get away, then I can understand that. But the fact that Keith was laying in his bed, sound asleep, and he was shot, one clean shot to the back of his head, you know, it just looks suspicious to me. Let's be honest, it looks suspicious. So the police basically, you know, took Darlene and her kids, put them in another room. You know what I'm saying? They basically barricaded the house, searched the house, made sure there wasn't nobody in there, you know, made sure everybody was safe, and, you know, just did what police do, I guess. I really don't know. I'm not a police officer. They basically did all that. They rushed Keith to the hospital, okay? And then they took Darlene down to the station to get her information on, you know, what actually happened that night, like if she could remember anything. So they say that Darlene was very frantic. Like she just, you know what I'm saying, she was hysterical. Like her husband just been shot. Oh my God, like give this poor woman a break. Get down. Like her husband was shot. But I guess they're just like, we still gotta take you down, because when it's something like this, they always look towards the spouse. The police officers do. So I mean, I guess that's logical to look towards the spouse. I mean, I probably would too if I was in that situation. So they look towards to Darlene. Okay, so after hours and hours of interrogating Darlene, they finally let Darlene go because the hospital called and told her that her husband was basically dying. So Keith actually died like around, I want to say like 5 o'clock that afternoon. You know, the officers actually took Darlene to the hospital, brought her back to the station for questioning, and then after questioning for a little while longer, Darlene had this light bulb went off in her head and was just like,
oh my God, like, I am a suspect. Like,
y'all not concerned for me. Y'all trying to pin this murder on me. You know what I'm saying? So she asked for a lawyer, which, you know, anybody would do. I believe that. I would have asked for a lawyer too. So she asked for a lawyer, and, you know, basically they had to let her go. Like, they really didn't have no evidence on her at that particular moment. But now I'm about to tell you guys where it just get fucked up for Darlene. Like, Darlene just messed up. Okay, she just messed up. So I guess after, you know, a couple of days, maybe like a week of deliberating, they decided that they really didn't have nothing on Darlene. But the police officers, you know, had they eyes set on her for some reason. Like, they knew that she was the killer. They knew that she was involved in Keith's murder. Okay? So Darlene got out, well, not got out, but she got out of questioning or whatever like that. She decided to stay with Keith's parents. Oh God, Keith's parents was just as gullible too. They not only put a bail for this lady to get out of jail, almost $50,000, but they also let her and her kids stay with them. I mean, I get it. You know, those are your grandkids. So, you know, that's the mother of your grandkids, and you really don't want to alarm your kids like, oh, your mother could be a killer, you know what I'm saying? So, of course, you like, oh my God, you got to take the mother in too. But I think the parents didn't really believe that Darlene actually did the crime. I think they just thought that she was just like a really nice woman, and she could not be the type to do something like this. Like, they've been knowing Darlene for years, so she just doesn't seem like the type of person that'll do this. They was wrong. They was wrong. Okay. So Darlene was staying with the grandparents. Okay, so Darlene just figured out, like, she just didn't want to stay at the home that her and Keith and the kids had together. So she decided to look for another home. So she called up one of their good friends. His name was Robert Pilveska. I'm gonna put his name somewhere. I don't know. Robert Pilveska, okay? I guess he was like, you know, a good friend of them, like a couple of properties or whatever like that. So Darlene knew that. So she just wanted to get a house so her kids didn't have to be in a, you know, in be reminded of, you know, what happened to their father, I guess, or whatever like that. So she called up Robert.
Hey Robert, do you have any houses? You know, I'm trying to move out of my house. Can you help me sell my house? And Robert was just like,
No, I don't have any houses for sale, but I do have some properties.
So Darlene was just like, oh, okay, maybe I'll just rebuild on these properties. Like, you know what I'm saying? New house, new life. Same old shit, I guess. But anyways, so Darlene and Robert and a couple of Darlene friends decided to drive around, look at some of Robert's properties. And Robert showed them this one property in particular that Darlene, they said she just absolutely fell in love with it. She thought it was the perfect place to restart her life and raise her kids and build a house on this particular property. Now, listen, this property came with a man-made lake. Okay, so the lake wasn't that big. I don't really know the square footage of the lake. If you want, you can Google it, but I don't want to. But it was a pretty decent sized lake. Okay, so Darlene was just like, oh, this lake is perfect. Robert always wanted to buy a house with a lake. He always wanted to, like, you know, go swimming with the kids, take them fishing. You know, he would have loved this lake. That's what Darlene was saying to Robert. Okay, so Robert was just like, oh, okay, perfect. You know, I will sell you this house, or I will sell you this property that come with the lake or whatever. So Darlene loved the house. You know, blah, 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 blah. I mean, not the house. She loved the property. She wanted it. Robert said that he'll call her next day so they can discuss, you know, payment arrangements and, you know, whatever needs to go on when you buy a property to build a house. I really don't know. I stay in an apartment, so who knows? Who knows? So the next day, Darlene called Robert and told Robert, you know what, Robert? I've decided that lake is just not very safe for my kids. After talking to my mom and her basically telling me, hey, you should plug the lake up or cover the lake up, Darlene decided to tell Robert, well, to ask Robert if he can, like, you know, cover the lake, you know, because she didn't want the lake anymore. Like, she didn't want, I guess she was in fear that her kids would drown. But you said that Robert and the kids like to swim together, so get your life together, Darlene. So Robert thought that was very suspicious, and he called a buddy of his that works in the police department, and they automatically jump up on it. Okay, after like 10 minutes later, maybe not 10 minutes later, probably like 10 or 15 minutes later, after Robert called his cop friend, they was at the lake, searching the lake, and guess what they find? The missing gun. The 9-shot 22 caliber registered to Keith Gentry. Oh, and let me tell you guys a side note. This particular gun, a 22 caliber, Keith's dad gave it to him on his birthday as a birthday present. So Keith had this gun in his family for quite some time, you know, so it wasn't like something that was new. You know, he had this gun, his dad gave it to him, he got it registered, that was his gun. So the cops found this gun, so they like, yay, we found the gun. Like, oh my God, because they knew that the bullet that Keith was shot with came from a 22 caliber, and they was missing a 22 caliber out his gun cabinet. So they just put two together, and it was just like light bulb, like, this is the freaking gun, you know what I'm saying? So they quickly took the gun, you know, got it examined, and it was confirmed, like, that was the gun that shot Keith Gentry. His own gun. How did his own gun shoot Keith Gentry? I don't know. We'll have to find out. So the cops decided, just because they found this gun, they really couldn't link, you know, Darlene to Keith's death without, like, some hardcore evidence. So the cops was pretty smart. I ain't even gonna lie. Like, the cops was smart. I probably would have did it too, because the cops were smart, okay? They were smart. They ended up setting Darlene up. That's why she's like the dummy of the day. Like, God damn it, Darlene. So the cops was just like, hey, Robert, let's get in on this setup, Robert. I want you to call Darlene, Robert, and tell Darlene that in order for them to cover this lake up that she feels is so unsafe for her kids, that he has to drain it first, and that then once the lake is drained, he can then cover it up. Girl, it took Darlene a hop, jump, skip minute, a nanosecond to get back down into the lake. It took Darlene probably a couple hours. Like, I think she came around, I want to say like 3 or 4 o'clock that morning. Like, she came real late in the morning. And not only did the cops set her ass up, but they also planted a stick, like a long stick, sticking out of the shallow end of the lake from to where they found the gun. So they was just like, okay, we found the gun here, put the stick there. You know what I'm saying? So if she go around this stick, we know that she knew exactly where this murder weapon was at, because this, like I said, the lake was a pretty decent size. You know, it wasn't a really big lake. It's a man-made lake. So, of course, you know, it wasn't big, but it wasn't small. You know what I'm saying? So, if she was to go by this stick that the cops had planted, they knew that Darlene was the killer. So, Darlene came out there, and guess what she did? She went right by the stick, bro. Like, she was directly by the stick. Like, it wasn't like she searched far over there and then gradually came towards the stick. No, this dumb chick went straight to the stick, bro. She went straight to the stick, and she could not find the gun. I guess she was out there for like 20-30 minutes. Like y'all should see the video. Like, she was frantically searching for this gun or whatever. And Darlene's excuse later on down the line is that someone called her and told her that they saw somebody discard a gun in the same lake on the same property that she was previously trying to purchase. How so convenient, Darlene. So convenient that the property that you was about to buy all of a sudden had the murder weapon that killed your husband. So convenient, Darlene. She just dumb. Every time I think about this, I just be like, damn it, bitch, you could have got away with it if you would have just sat down. If you would have just sat down. Like, damn it. And don't get me wrong, I am not for killers. Like, I do not like killers. I don't like rapers. I don't like child abusers. I don't like beaters, wife beaters or husband beaters, whatever. But I'm just like, you probably could have got away with it if you would have just shut the fuck up. But you couldn't even shut up, Darlene. You just had to do it because you think you're pretty and you think, you know, your shit don't stink, and you feel like just because you're beautiful that people gonna overlook the bad things that you do. That is so inaccurate, Darlene. That is so inaccurate. But yeah, so yeah, she killed her husband, you guys. Like, she shot him in the back of his head. And this trial, I feel like it really didn't take the jury long to deliberate that she was the murderer. She was definitely the murderer, and she made all kinds of excuses on why she wanted the lake covered, on who killed her husband. She said that the night of the murder that she heard nothing. And if you see the picture of the house, you guys, the house really wasn't that big. Like, come on, like, you could have heard something. Like, it wasn't that big. I could see if y'all was in a mansion or something like that, then I'll be understanding, like, okay, well, maybe she didn't hear nothing. Maybe she took some sleeping pills, but nothing like that. Like, she was just asleep. And if you heard a gunshot, I'm pretty sure it'll wake you up. Hell, firecrackers wakes me up. So I'm pretty sure a gunshot would have woken me all the way up. Like, from my soul, all the way up. Yeah. So Darlene killed her husband. She shot him in the back of his head. Then she tried to cover it up by throwing a gun into a man-made lake. And the cops busted her. And I think they said, not even I think, they said that was the most damning evidence against Darlene, was that video that they played on her trial of her digging around in that lake. Because it looked like she knew exactly what she was looking for. She knew exactly where it should have been. And she went straight to it. It wasn't no if, as, a but if she didn't know. Like, she stayed around the area that the cops planted that stick on. She didn't go nowhere. So she knew exactly where the murder weapon is. Come on, Darlene. God. I'm glad you got caught. I'm glad you got caught. You deserve to go to jail. You know what I'm saying? Now this poor guy is dead because you didn't even, I don't know what you thought. You just, oh, I know what you thought. I know what you thought, Darlene. You found out about his life insurance. Oh, that's another thing. She found out about his life insurance, which was worth $750,000 that he was getting from his job and someplace else. I can't remember. Like his life insurance, and then he also was getting life insurance from his job. And it all added up to around $750,000. So she probably figured, oh my God, Keith, you're worth more to me dead than alive. So I got to kill you and cover it up so I can live a good life, because you're already bitching at me about how much money I'm spending. So, you know, if you die and I get $750K, you know, then you won't be able to bitch at me and I can do what I want to do. That's probably what she was thinking. That's exactly what she was thinking. That's it. But yeah, guys, that is the story about Darlene Gentry and Keith Gentry. I got this story off of True Crime, I think. I'm gonna leave the description in the bottom in the thing. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next Saturday right here on my Saturday story time. I hope you guys like this story time, and I will see you later. Bye.